Hi, I'm author Agnes Verona Oquendo. This is my second live video. I just came in for a run, back from a social distancing run in my hood. And I thought I'd read to you my first book, Chapter 1, Running Against Cancer, available through Amazon. First, I'd like to give a shout out to some of my author friends. Paul Lafferty, author of Down the Lane, which I'm presently reading, and also 32 All the Way is his YouTube channel. Clint Buchanan, he has Shed Talk with CJ Buchanan. He has 3 published books out, Rebirth, The New Dawn, Tears of the Unknown, all also available through Amazon. Just a shout out to a few other authors, Jason Hill, Josh Pessin, Phyllis Barone Amadori, John Curley, Diane Gattulo, Bert Lee, Doc Joe, Short Stories Scribe, Leonardi, Lorenzo Dozier, Joey Manning, Joe Ferguson, Jim Hart, and John Halfhide. These are all friends of mine who are very supportive of me and my work, so I just wanted to thank them. Also, again, another shout out to all first responders during this coronavirus pandemic. We thank you. So I'm going to read chapter 1, which I have gotten a lot of responses from people who have read the book. Chapter 1 starts out, I am truly sorry, but your biopsy results are positive. The report reads extensive, blah, 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 carcinoma is all I was able to hear. Immediately after hearing the word positive, followed by extensive and carcinoma, everything from that moment on became a blur for me. I remember sitting in my surgeon's office for the post-biopsy visit, watching his lips moving. I must have been crying because he handed me a box of tissues. The room seemed to be darker and cooler than when I first arrived. A numbness had taken control over my body, and I thought to myself, I know I will awaken from this nightmare in a few minutes, because this could not possibly be happening to me. I'm the one who hands out the tissues and consoles my patients, as the physician painstakingly shares negative results to his patients and their family members. But this time is different. It is I who is now in need of consolation and support. I had not been prepared for this outcome and have entered unfamiliar ground. I feel as if I'm no longer in control of anything. As he spoke, my focus seems to have wandered. As I sat watching his lips moving, I suddenly became aware of the lines on his face that I never seemed to have noticed before. He looked so tired and pale. Over the past years, I've witnessed him being on call countless times and then immediately attend surgical rounds for the entire morning and looking more refreshed than he does right now. Almost as an instinct, I wanted to stand up and hug him and say, don't worry, everything will be all right. I then realized, my God, this appointment is for me. This part of our profession is never easy, and it just became obvious to me that this was not an easy task for him either, informing me of this disturbing news. I suddenly felt a wave of exhaustion enveloping my entire body. We had worked together for many years. He's a colleague and now also my surgeon, whom I trust and respect. I sat in my chair with my hands folded on my lap, making every effort to listen to his advice, as I sobbed quietly and uncontrollably. His voice was soft and his eyes were warm and sincere. Our relationship was purely professional, but I felt as though he was a member of my immediate family, discussing our options during a medical crisis. It is a great deal of information for me to grasp all at once, and I wasn't sure how much of it I had absorbed. I made every attempt to listen until he finished speaking, and when his lips stopped moving, almost instinctively, I slowly and solemnly stood up and walked out into the waiting room. My advice to my family, friends, and patients throughout the years has always been have someone accompany you to the physician's office and bring a list of well thought out questions with you. Because once you're in the office, you will forget all the questions you intended to ask and will not remember half of what you are told. Unfortunately for me, I did not listen to my own advice. I arrived to the office alone and without my prepared list, confident of my results would be negative. Once in the waiting area, I found a solitary spot in the farthest corner from the reception desk, away from everyone, and continued to cry alone. My hands covered my face as I cried, and I felt an occasional glance in my direction from all angles of the room. Not a word was spoken. It was extremely quiet, as if I were alone, or perhaps I could not hear anything more at that point. After a few minutes of crying in the waiting area, my eyes were surely slits by then. I wiped away the physical evidence of crying except for the puffiness in my eyes, took a deep breath, and finally regained my composure. I then stood up tall and made my way over to the receptionist's desk. The receptionist and nurse stopped what they were doing and looked up at me and waited for me to speak. With a crackled voice, I politely asked for a copy of my biopsy report. They readily handed it to me, and I quietly thanked the staff and let myself out. My body was still numb, and I never felt the cool, brisk air walking out of the building to the car. I cannot be sure if I ran or walked when I left, but I remember that it was late December, and I was planning to finish my Christmas shopping after seeing my surgeon. I guess my body was on cruise control and my brain on overload, and I apparently made appropriate functions without even a thought. I was extremely exhausted, and all I wanted to do was sleep. I don't even remember the ride home. I no longer had the capacity to think. I spent the remainder of the day in my bed sleeping, after crying some more until I finally convinced myself that tomorrow will be better. That is just the first few pages of my book. Tomorrow I'll read the rest of the chapter. I'd like to thank everyone for listening in. And again, I hope to see you tomorrow. Thank you. One more thing. My book is available through Amazon, Running Against Cancer. My Shorts is my second book, also available through Amazon. Dark Whispers of a Serial Killer through Amazon. And my new book, Nurse Diaries, also available through Amazon. Thank you. Bye.